was going anywhere, and that Jerry Jones would never let that happen. And then, I don't know, 6 hours later, Micah Parsons is not in Dallas, and not only is he not in Dallas, but he's in an NFC team that is a Super Bowl contender.
Wow!
So
he's headed to the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, just didn't.
No, I got to tell you something.
Didn't see that one coming.
No one did.
No.
Mainly because Jerry is always playing this game with his stars.
And they always end up staying.
That's right.
And Jerry has been adamant that this isn't a big deal. This is how things go. And then Micah
got to be smoking something over there.
But I think the difference with Parsons is I think they pissed him off.
It got personal.
And I think he's just crazy enough to be like, dude, no, you're not doing this with me.
Yep.
And so the Packers geeting. And what's crazy is I was sitting there on my couch.
Mm.
Okay, I have a couch.
Mm.
It's in our living room.
Good for you.
Thank you.
It's good to be Rob.
Times are good.
Has Jabari Walker ever been on that couch?
No.
Probably
and
never
he
will
won't be now.
No.
So I'm sitting there and I'm looking. So I was looking at the latest with Micah. I was preparing a Micah segment, my award-winning show prep.
Mm. And
he had not been traded yet, but I did. I asked myself the question. I was like, I wonder who's favored to get him. Like if they are going to trade him, because the story today before Micah got traded was the Cowboys are now listening to trade offers.
Yes.
They were not listening before. Now they are. Okay. So I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe they will trade him. Who would get him? So I went and looked and I just Googled odds on Micah Parsons' next team. I didn't go to my sportsbook or anything. I just Googled it. And the first story that came up, and this was literally 5 minutes before the headline read, Parsons traded to the Packers, breaking news. The headline from Sports Illustrated was, Packers surge to the top of Micah Parsons' odds list. So it seems to me that for about a 3, 4, 5 minute window, you could have gotten the pack. If you had inside info, somebody knew something. So it went, I don't know what they were before, but they were still at plus 400.
Yeah.
The Cowboys were still the favorite, minus 350. Packers were plus 400, meaning if you bet 100, you win 400. If you knew something was up with Micah going to the Packers, or if you just read that as, ooh, something's up with the Packers, you could have pounced on that and been right and cashed that bet 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I just didn't necessarily, I really thought it'd be into an AFC team. I didn't think it'd be in division. And not that this is in division, but it's still obviously in the NFC. I know like Seattle was a team that was, some people were saying the Philly thing wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to trade him to Philadelphia. They weren't going to give him to Washington. I mean, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to trade him in division and get your teeth kicked in.
But the Packers are a rival. Knocked him out of the playoffs last year. It's like, why would you trade him there?
Maybe that's just like, look, two things can be true at the same time, right? You say this all the time, and that Micah Parsons is the second most impactful. Actually, if you look at the numbers, he is the most impactful defensive player in the NFL. And you can debate who you think is the best edge rusher, whether that's, Myles Garrett, whether that's Max Crosby, whether you want to go Watt. If we're going off of the numbers that we can quantify, he's the most impactful player in the NFL. He's the most double-team player. In the 4 years since he's been in Dallas, you want to know like what's an alarming number if you're the Dallas Cowboys? So in the 4 years that Micah Parsons has been there, and this is necessarily cherry picking because it's like 1,100 plus snaps. When Micah Parsons is on the field, the Dallas Cowboys over that period of time are the number one defense in EPA, right? In the NFL, number one. Would you care to guess what they are on the plays where Micah Parsons is not on the field?
Yeah, I think you've said this before. It's like 24th or something?
They're dead last.
Oh!
They're dead last. Now, if you want to go DVOA, so again, this is like, depending on what metric you like, some people like one, some people like the other. With DVOA, when Micah Parsons is on the field, they're number one. When he's not on the field, and that, I think they're 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So whichever metric you want to use, there is no greater defensive player when he's on and off that makes that sort of swing. So you can be a Dallas Cowboy and be like, well, no one's worth $47 million, even though we can get into, is he actually going to get $47 million? He got a buttload of cash. Whether you want to talk about guarantee or the total value, they paid him, and the man got his money. But you can't deny that the Cowboys, with and without him, there is no player that makes a bigger impact, especially on a team like Dallas that you want to believe is a contender. And they are worse off, significantly worse off today for getting rid of Micah Parsons. And this is why I said two things can be true. You can't deny that. Now, long term, right? You get Kenny Clark, who's an okay, he's a decent enough player, right? You get a defensive lineman, still a younger guy, and you get 2 first-round picks, and you don't have to give Micah Parsons $40+ million. So the argument becomes Dallas, who does have a pretty good history with draft picks, give Dallas one thing. They draft well, right? They draft CeeDee Lamb. They draft Micah Parsons. They've drafted very good old linemen. They've done a nice job with that. So could you make the argument that in 2 years, if both of those first round picks that are going to be late round picks, because Green Bay is going to be good, but you take the 24th and the 28th pick in the next 2 drafts, and that becomes an all pro left guard, Zach Martin, and you turn it into an all pro corner, right? And then you add Kenny Clark to it, who's again, decent player. And you have $40+ million in extra cap space to go sign guys. Could you make an argument that 3-4 years down the road, Dallas is better off doing this than signing Micah Parsons? Sure. You can listen to that, but that is ifs and buts, candy and nuts, and years down the road. The Green Bay Packers got the most impactful player on that side of the ball in the NFL, and they added it to a team that already was a playoff team that some people consider to be a dark horse Super Bowl team that got infinitely better. And if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you basically just threw up the flare gun this season, not down the road, but this season, and said, we aren't a serious team. So to say that the Dallas Cowboys got better today is a lie, but you could make the argument. It was like when the Cardinals let Pujols or someone like that go. Could you make an argument that it's the smart move long term?
It's not a horrible trade.
No.
It's just, I don't understand why Jerry would want to do that at 83 years old.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have to be this way.
Yeah. It didn't.
And
you could have had him at 40.
And he's so old that you would think that he would be all chips in.
Yep.
He almost died. I mean, they revealed in that Cowboys documentary, he almost died.
Yep.
So this guy, you would think, would be all chips in the middle.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, it makes sense in a sense that Parsons called their bluff.
Yeah.
And so, and I bet you Jerry didn't expect that because nobody calls Jerry's bluff. Like,
nope.
This goes back to when we were dealing with Paul Allen here. And we'd always try to predict what Paul Allen would do. You can't predict what Paul Allen would do because Paul Allen's a multi-billionaire.
Yep.
You can't get inside that brain.
Yep.
And Jerry's the same way. Like, he was doing Jerry stuff and it burned him, and they, pulled off a decent deal, but they didn't want to do that. There's no way they wanted to do that.
Well, realize that they got technically, again, depending on what you think of Kenny Clark, they got less than what the Jets got for Jamal Adams and what the Chargers got, or the Bears and Chargers in the Khalil Mack trade. And Micah Parsons is 26 years old. And again, you can't argue with numbers. He's the most, I'm not saying he's the best, he's the most impactful player of the last 4 years on the defensive side of the ball.
The other element here,
it's kind of one of those that I'm still trying to kind of wrap my head around what Dallas is doing.
Well, I don't think Dallas knows what Dallas is doing.
Probably not.
I mean, we've been talking about this for weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, for months. In Dallas, this started in February.
Yep.
Everybody saw this coming.
Yep.
So not necessarily the trade. They saw the fight with Micah coming.
Jerry's just like, it'll be fine. It always is.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
right.
It's not.
Exactly.
And you got no way to recoup it for this year. The Cowboys.
Yes. There's just no way to explain that.
No.
The thing is, people are trying to explain what the Cowboys cannot explain that. It's just they got Parsons called their bluff.
Yeah.
Parsons was pissed. Parsons is a different cat.
Yep.
And that's another thing too. And we'll come back and talk about this. But Parsons is not the easiest cat to get along with. Apparently, he ruffled a lot of feathers, and there's a little bit of Luka in this trade in a sense of the Cowboys were kind of done with Parsons crap.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about that and take a look at the money side of it too, because it's very interesting from Micah's perspective, if you believe all the numbers, what he chose to do. Yeah. But maybe it was just, hey, just trade me, and money's money, but just trade me.
Get me
That's what I want.